All right. How's everyone doing? Thank you guys for being here. We really appreciate it. I want to start out with thanking Alvin Newton with Real Marketing for our breakfast this morning and coffee and so forth. So thank you very, very much. He's going to come on a little bit later to show how he might be able to help you guys with some of your buyer packages and so forth. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. First of all, we're just going to go over a few office announcements. And then we're going to talk about, I think, what all of you guys came here for, which is the NAR settlement. I'm going to give you just a quick update on that. We're not going to talk about the things that could happen from this. We are going to lay out just the facts of what has transpired and how we can respond to those things, and what you can do right now to be ready when the time comes. I'm also going to talk about the 3-step process for working with buyers and sellers. So we're going to have to pivot a little bit when we're working with buyers, as maybe some of you already know. And so I want to do a little bit of a deeper dive into that and how you can set yourself up to have a great buyer consultation that really helps you articulate your value, the services that you provide, and all of that. So we'll dive into that. And part of getting ready is having a buyer guide, having something that you can give your buyers that it explains a little bit about you, a little bit about maybe your team, and really talks about your services. And it's a great way to show your value. And I'm also going to talk about how to use that and what the right timing is for using that buyer guide. So I have a couple different options. One is a free option, something that RE/MAX provides you, and I'm going to go into that as well. But also we have, like I mentioned, we have Alvin from Real Marketing, and he's got a customizable solution that if you really want to customize yours and have your information and your branding on there, what some of those customization options look like. And the reason I brought him in is because Leo and a few of our other agents have used him for a pre-listing package that looks incredible. It is very, if you want that elevated look and feel to what you guys put out there, it's a great option. So I want to give you a couple different options depending on whichever direction you want to go. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about the custom pages you should add to your buyer guide. So whether you do it yourself or whether you have somebody do it, what are some of those key pages that will help you stand out from the crowd, right? So some of those customizations. So let's first talk a little bit about, I'm going to throw it to Carrie about some office announcements, and Leo, if you have any announcements, let's get that, let's get through that, and then we'll jump into the NAR settlement.
Sounds good. Good morning, everybody. Just a quick update. Realtors for Kids went very, very well. We raised close to about $30,000 that day for Children's Hospital. So what a good day it was. A lot of fun. Some of you guys were there, and I appreciate the support and people that donated things. But it was a really, really good event that day, and I'll do it next year. Just kidding. Every year, the week before, I'm like, I'm never doing this again. You know, after the event, I kind of like decompress and go, okay, it wasn't that bad. But yeah, so next year, I haven't set the date yet, but as soon as we know what it is, I'll let you guys know. So if you want to participate, that's possible. Second thing, one of the things I'm still seeing a lot in listing agreements is not filling in the compensation for the buyer's agent. And I know this is all changing, but it's one of the most important things right now because of all of the stuff in the media that's going on. If I get a listing agreement that doesn't have the compensation to the other agent on the other side, I'm gonna send it back to you and say fill it in and get your sellers to initial it. We really, really need to be diligent about that and make sure we're disclosing everything properly to the seller that we should. The other thing that's going to be really important is your net sheets coming up. Because of this, it's going to be very important to do net sheets with your seller to let them know their costs and things like that. That's another way to disclose the compensation and all that kind of stuff. So highly, highly suggest being more familiar with your net sheets and getting your seller to sign a net sheet showing that you went over what their costs are. If there's any questions you guys ever have in regards to forms, you know, you can always call me. I can point you in the right direction of which forms to use, what to do, but I'm always there, just a phone call away, so please let me know. Does anybody have any questions for me? Yes?
The best way to prepare the net sheet, I usually just get it from escrow. Is that what you would recommend, or is there some other way?
I would not recommend having escrow do your net sheets for you because it's not coming from you. It's an outside vendor that may not get all of the costs correctly. They don't know if you've got termite, they don't know compensation, they don't know what you're off, you know what I mean? I would highly suggest doing it yourself.
So this is the net sheet that you're presenting at the time
At
of
the
the
time
listing?
of the listing presentation,
Okay.
yeah, most definitely. Because by the time, and
We
yes.
don't know that stuff either.
No, but
Right?
it can be a discussion and you can put in estimated amounts for things and suggest that you do a termite report ahead of time so you know where you stand in regards to that kind of stuff. But it's really important to make sure we are disclosing all the costs to the seller as well as buyers nowadays. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Oh, May 18th, Cypress's shred event, and I know there's some Cypress agents here, but it is May 18th, so if you haven't signed up and are still interested in participating, let me know. And anyone from Huntington Beach is welcome to participate in the Cypress event also.
When is it?
May 18th, Saturday, coming up.
And our next meeting is going to be in July. The date, I'll get that date out to you guys, but we are gonna go over the recent form changes that usually come out in June, right?
Yeah.
And any changes, if we get any new forms related to this settlement, any heads up on that, we'll be covering that as well. So we will be sending out kind of a save the date for the July meeting. Okay, Leo, do you have anything?
Just the fun aspect. We have the beach party coming up here in July, so we'll send out the save the date. And that's going to be a lot of fun. We're also doing it again this year with the office at Remax Community Conventions in Santa Ana, our good friends there. We're gonna have a volleyball contest, so for those of you that want to whip out your old skills, let us know. We'd love to have you on the team. We can't let them win. And we also have the air show. We're gonna do that again this year. Both these events, guys, if you want to invite your top clients to them, do that because you kind of want to smooth them, especially when they're giving you referrals and that kind of stuff. The air show was a great hit last year, and we had a massive turnout over the 3-day weekend, so take advantage of it. Okay.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's talk about the NAR settlement and how it affects you. Again, I don't really, we don't have all of the information yet, so full disclosure, we don't have all the answers. But we do know, we know some things for sure. So I really want to focus in on those and stick to the facts of what we know and how we can respond to those things. To start with, as you know, the settlement agreement happened on April 24th. It has not been finalized yet. That's going to happen in November, but NAR agreed that we, brokers and agents, are going to be making our changes to how we are practicing business on August 17th. So we have to get all of our ducks in a row as to how we are going to work with buyers, what we're going to tell sellers, and manage that process. We have to have that all ready to go by August 17th. So that's why we're starting to talk about this now and really get you guys geared up to, what do I need to do to prepare? Okay, so let's talk about the two major changes that are being made. One is that they're eliminating the MLS or prohibiting the MLS from allowing commission to be displayed basically on the MLS. So they're going to take out that commission, the buyer's agent commission, out of the MLS. Okay, so offers of compensation can continue to be an option. Consumers can pursue off the MLS. Okay, that may look like before you go out and show buyers homes that you need to call those listing agents and find out if they're offering compensation. Okay. Let me go back to that. Sellers can offer buyer concessions on the MLS. For example, concessions for buyers' closing costs, right? And then the buyers can use that to pay the buyer's agent, to pay you, okay? And this change will go into effect August 17th. The second change is buyer representation. So things you guys probably already know is that you're going to have to have your buyers sign an agency agreement, a buyer representation agreement, before you can even show them property. Okay? So this agreement is similar. I kind of think of it like a listing agreement where you've got what your compensation is going to be and the time frame that you're going to be working with them. So it's going to be similar to that, and you cannot leave that time frame open-ended. So it's going to have a start date and a finish date. So basically the way I look at it, the way I think about it, is that the settlement is decoupling compensation. The listing agent is going to negotiate their compensation with the seller, and the buyer's agent is going to negotiate their compensation with the buyer. Make sense? Okay, so part of what you guys are going to get today is you guys are going to get a link to a shared Google Drive. That's going to have, I think we have 4, 5, 6 different documents that I'm going to be referencing that you guys can download and take all that information, read through. One of them is the most recent NAR FAQ. And so in my slide deck here, I'm referencing certain pages where if you want to go back and do a deeper dive on that, you can go back to the FAQ and look at that. So I just kind of want to make a note of that real quick. Seller concessions. Sellers will be allowed to offer concessions for buyers' closing costs. Okay. Can you publish your cooperative commission offer in the private agency remarks? So can you, what's the answer to that? No. Right. The new rule prohibits any offers of compensation on the MLS, so you cannot do that. Okay? But there will be that seller concessions section where it may show what the seller is willing to pay. Okay? Now what happens if I take a listing today and it's a 6-month listing, and come August 17th, do I need to change that listing agreement? Because everything is going to change, right? The answer to that is after the new rule goes into effect, so August 17th, you've got a listing agreement already for 6 months starting today. You're going to have to amend that listing agreement to reflect that offers of compensation cannot be communicated via the MLS, okay? And talk your sellers through how that's going to happen. And so just know that there probably will be a form for that, more than likely, but you are going to have to make that adjustment if you have any current listings right now. Same thing with buyers. What if you're working with a buyer now? So what do we do now? Today, we don't typically have them sign a buyer broker agreement. We start to go show them homes. We're out, showing them homes. But what if you haven't found a home for them? You're still showing. Come August 17th. Well, by August 17th, you've got to have them sign the buyer representation form that states that they may have to pay you your fee if the seller is unwilling to pay a commission or a concession, okay? So the answer is, if you're still working with buyers after August 17th, you must have them sign a buyer representation agreement. That is going to be more than likely a new document. Hopefully we'll have that soon and we can get it all out to you guys with some instructions. If you want more details about this, see the FAQ that you're going to get, pages 17 and 18. Okay. What about dual agency? You will have to have both a listing agreement and a buyer's representation agreement. Okay, so you'll have to have both of those. I know this is one of the common questions. What if you're hosting an open house and an unrepresented buyer walks in? Do you need to get them to sign an agreement before you can show them the house? God, I hope not, right? No. Okay, so what they're telling us is no, because technically you're there at the open house representing the seller, right? So you're not representing the buyer as they walk in. So you do not have to have them sign any kind of agreement to walk in, because really that would be a nightmare, right? So keep that in mind. There are several details to this, but you can find those on the FAQ, page 16. We'll give you a lot more details about that, but that's the high level of what some of those changes are. So lending, will this settlement impact lending? So that's a really good question. And so we have DeVita Home Finance here, Mark and Matt sitting in the back there. We had a long talk about this yesterday. Can you guys, would you mind just kind of answering that question and just talking a little bit about what you know?
I mean, as of now, it hasn't really changed things on our side. Most of the programs they allow for how this is set up, except for VA is the one issue that we're seeing right now, because a buyer can't pay a commission. It's a non-allowable fee. So I'm sure VA is going to come up with something over the next couple months, but as of now, they haven't put good guidance on it. But the other programs we put some of these out. It's kind of confusing the way it's laid out, but basically what it's saying is that these are what these programs allow for seller concessions already. So the minimum is about 3% right now, and it goes up to over 6%. So there's they allow for a lot of seller concessions, like for closing costs to the buyer already, where for your commissions it should be fine. In terms of, if you're short on your commission, so say you're getting, your buyer agreement says you're getting 2.5%, right? The seller's concession's only gonna pay 2%. That other 0.5%, we don't really have a solution for that, except for the buyer is allowed to pay for it, but it has to come out of their funds. I don't know if lenders will start to try to increase like lender credits on the back end to help you guys pay for some of that. But typically if we do that, so we can increase rates, and that will give buyers lender credits back for closing costs. So we can do that in general. It maxes out at a certain point. So depending on what you're getting, and then we'd have to have the borrower also agree to, I'm gonna go from 6.5% to 7%, so I can pay this kind of gap of the commission. But I'm sure there's gonna be a lot more coming out over the next couple of months about it.
Okay. All right, great. Any questions for them? Yeah.
When you say 3 to 6%, what is that for? Non-recurring and recurring?
Correct.
You still have to have that spelled out, right?
I mean, I don't think you really have to have it spelled out typically. I think
Okay.
you just say for buyer's closing costs.
Okay,
It's
so
fine, but yes, it can go to recurring and non-recurring.
in an amendment, that we just have to put it in there somewhere? Because we won't find out until after, like we get an offer accepted, what that is.
Well, typically, you would know, if you contact the listing agent, you would know what the seller's gonna give already, right? So if they're paying 2.5% towards closing costs.
I'll be honest, half the agents don't call you back, so we're not gonna know. They're just gonna say, just submit,
Right. Well, I would think in your offer, yeah, so maybe when you make an offer, you have something there stating that seller to pay 2.5% of buyer's closing
Okay,
costs or something.
and that would be acceptable by the lender?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the one right now that's an issue is the VA.
VA, yeah. Okay,
But
so
I'm sure that would get
so
fine.
FHA is okay with it?
FHA is okay with that,
Okay,
yeah.
all right. Thank you.
All right, thanks guys. Thank you, thank you. And it's gonna come in on if you think about the closing statement at the end of the transaction, it's going, on the seller side, it's going to look like a credit from the seller to the buyer for closing costs. And then on the buyer's side, it's going to look like the credit, but then a charge back, right, to the buyer. And that will be your commission that then gets sent to you. That
Okay,
makes
so
sense.
say you have a buyer broker agreement, you take it at 3%, and during all the negotiations and everything, you're getting 2.5%. Can you go back and amend your broker agreement to be 2.5, so your buyer's not out of pocket?
Well, you can still collect, just the 2.5.
Okay, so you don't have.
But it's where
If it
you're.
goes more.
It's where you have agreed to take a 2.5 and they're compensating 3, you can't get the
Okay,
extra half.
right.
At all.
Okay, I just didn't know if I had to modify it.
What if you amended it?
No, well, you can if you amend it, yeah, but if you don't, then it stands the way it is and you can't get more
Okay.
than what your agreement says,
So it's safe.
yeah. But you could always take less.
Okay.
So it's safe to put
I
3.
know it's safe to put
Always,
3,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So with change comes opportunities. So we are used to change in this business, right? And having to pivot, and we had COVID, and then, we've had things along the way where even our market changes every so often where we have to pivot. So I want to just ask you guys, what opportunities do you see with this change? Nothing. 0.
An opportunity to fill out a lot more paper.
An opportunity to fill out a lot more paperwork. Yes.
So I heard somebody say, well, listing agents never return your phone calls, so that's gotta change.
Yeah.
For listing agents who want to sell their home, we better start calling back those buyers agents.
Right, or we've got to find a more efficient way. Yeah.
So I kind of see it as a positive that we'll have to start communicating more directly with the cooperating agents, regardless, whether I'm representing the buyers or whether I'm representing the sellers.
Right. And I did like Mark's thought on if you don't get that call or you don't get a call back and you have no idea, write it in. Yeah. Yeah. Eric, did you have something?
Yeah, maybe you can elaborate on this or just verify. I put a phone number there for compensation. I just started doing that. And I just said, for compensation, just please call this number. It's just a voicemail.
Okay, that's a really good
Easy.
idea.
I just tell them not to leave the voicemail.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Actually, that's a good idea, because they said you can't have it any sort of syndication. And
Right.
people were saying private websites.
Yeah.
But that is a really good idea. To have a phone number.
I wonder even, I'm just thinking out loud here, if you could even, if there's the autoresponders on text messages that you'd like, I don't know. It just, because you can get 20, you guys have had 20, 30 offers on one property and you've got millions of calls and it's just really hard to keep up with it. So finding those ways to automate it, that's a really good idea. Yeah. All right. So what are the opportunities? I think if you guys want to think of it a little bit differently, that this is now a professionals market. That this is the ability to really kind of level up our profession where we're actually doing a true buyer consultation. We're not just saying, okay, you guys ready to go out, let's go out, but it is having that consultative kind of approach to your business, which most professional service providers already do. Think about when you've gone to a doctor, a lawyer, a trust attorney or whatever, they take some information from you. They kind of get to know you and what you're trying to accomplish, or what the issues are, whatever it is, but they do some level of compensation before they start to work with you. And that's really, it's kind of the way we need to approach buyers now. We've always been approaching sellers that way, if you think about it. That listing presentation process is really what we're now going to do with the buyers. That's it, right? So there's a huge competitive advantage to honing your skills around these new changes. So buyers are going to have to hire you to represent them, which that is, for most people, kind of like, wow, okay, it's really hard to get them now to sign a buyer broker agreement. We've always struggled with that, but now it's going to be mandated, so maybe that actually makes it easier, right?
Whoever they use, they're going to have to.
Yeah.
They're going to have to, exactly. Exactly. So in a way, I really think it makes it easier for us to get them to sign it because they have to. And so they're going to have to hire you and do so under a contract. Okay? So really you should be asking yourself, how am I going to get them to hire me? Right? How am I going to convey that they may have to pay my fee? And what are the options for compensation? What are the various 2 to 3 ways that I can get paid? You're going to have to spell that out, right? And how do I explain my services and my value, the value that I bring to my buyer clients? So let's talk about how to prepare and what to do to get ready. You need to be informed and know how to explain all of this to your clients, both buyers and sellers, how to handle objections. Be prepared to do a buyer consultation, right, to show your value, your services. Prepare materials for your buyer consultation, whether those are buyer guides. I'm going to give you examples of some of that today. Checklists, questionnaires, anything that you want to use. And then hone your skills on your buyer consultation process. What is that going to look like? So let's take the listing presentation. Let's say you know you're going to go take a $2 million listing. You may be up against other agents, right? Other listing agents. They're going to interview a few people. What is that process? Maybe you send them a pre-listing package ahead of time, right? With all your marketing materials and so forth. And then you have that listing appointment where you explain your process, what you're going to do for them, and all of that. You should have a similar consultation or similar process for buyers, okay? So your buyer process, like a listing process, but for buyers. And think about, what do you want your buyer experience to look like from the onset? So what does it usually look like? Maybe it's a referral. Hey, I've got a referral. My friend is looking for a home. Maybe, I referred you. Maybe you can give them a call and find out. That's the start, right? Then there's the phone call. And what does that phone call do? So we'll talk about that. But what is that phone call, that initial phone call?
It's an introduction.
It's an introduction. Getting to know them.
To know what they want.
What they want. It's also a great time. It's your first opportunity to start to establish trust, right? So let's talk about the process. That initial consultation is usually a phone call. You determine their needs, find out what their motivation is for moving, what their timing needs are. And then it's that point where you want to then set an appointment for a face-to-face meeting, right? So after that initial phone call, you could send out a pre-presentation packet for the buyer. Remember, we're talking about buyers. The pre-presentation packet might have a buyer guide. Talks a little bit about you, RE/MAX, the process of buying a home. You could email it to them. You could drop it off. You could mail it to them. I'm going to talk about why it might be a good idea to email it to them. We'll talk about that in a second. And then you actually have the buyer consultation and the signing of the agreement that they're going to work exclusively with you, and you set your compensation and how long you're going to be working with them. Okay? So that's kind of the process. So let's do a little deeper dive into that. Step number 1 is the initial consultation. Really, I want you guys to think about this as the discovery phase. It's the first step, and don't underestimate the value that this first step brings. Ask a lot of really good open-ended questions. Get them talking. Okay, just like we do with the listing questions. Start with general questions, and then move into some deeper questions. So don't just ask them about how many bedrooms and how many bathrooms, right? ask them why, especially if they point out something that is important to them, dive a little bit deeper, ask them, that sounds like it's something that's really important to you. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? So dive deeper into really getting to know them, okay? Learn about their concerns, about making this move, those types of questions. Seek to understand who they are and what's important to them. And by all means, do more listening than talking, okay? And then you're gonna transition to scheduling the in-person meeting. Right, here's just a little script. I'm gonna send you an email with a lot of important information that I'd love you to take a look at prior to us meeting. And there's also a questionnaire in there that you can fill out. So let's go ahead and get that, get our meeting scheduled. I'm gonna go over the home buying process with you and talk about my role in guiding you through that process. So, sending the pre-presentation packet. How many people have a pre-listing packet? Okay, all right. And so how do you guys send that out? Is it via email? Is it do you drop it off at the house?
Both.
Both, okay? So have it in both ways. And I would say for buyers, have both. Have a hard copy and have something that you can send electronically also. Okay. Okay, some things that it should include is a custom buyer guide. Maybe some links to buyer videos. So any of you that are doing videos, maybe you create a couple videos on just an intro to the buying process, especially if you're somebody that works with first-time buyers. Maybe you have a couple videos that are specifically geared towards first-time buyers. So that might make you kind of stand out also. So you could create an email with your buyer guide and a couple short little videos that might go along with it. If you have a video that introduces you and who you are and all of that, include those. If you have any buyer checklists or questionnaires that you'd like them to fill out, attach those to it. And really this is just a little bit about you and your company, and maybe a little bit of an educational piece about the process. Okay. All right, next step is the actual buyer consultation and the agreement, getting them to sign the agreement. So sitting down with them at the consultation, you're kind of verifying what you talked to them about on the phone, walk them through the process of purchasing their home, what your home services are, how you help them navigate the transaction. So I think that's an important piece, because I think that, initially they're thinking about, okay, let's go look at homes, but that's just half the battle, right? I mean, as soon as you get an offer accepted, there's a lot that we do after that offer is accepted. And it would be good to kind of explain part of that process, especially to the people who say, well, I think I might just want to represent myself. Right? So explaining the process and all the paperwork and all of that, and how, you representing them really transfers the liability to you as well. And explaining that process, I think, really should scare anybody into wanting professional representation, don't you think? So get good at how you navigate, how you explain how you help them navigate. Talk about your team of professionals and how they are a benefit to your clients. So let's talk about this. You may not think you have a team, but you do, okay? The affiliate partners that we have are part of our team, right? So it's really important to highlight that you have a lot of professionals that have years of experience in this business that will help navigate through the process of buying a home and help through any of those bumps that come along the way. I'm going to go into this a little bit deeper in a second. But what about talking them through the current market conditions at that buyer consultation? Would that be important? Do we have markets within markets? There's the under $1 million market. Is that slightly different than maybe even the, you know, the $2 million, $3 million market, the first time buyer market? So maybe ask them, what are your thoughts about the current market? Get a sense of, you know, what are they hearing? What do they know? You know, some people may not know. So talk about their buyer strategies. Talk about how you'll get paid. And review some of the paperwork and have them sign the agreement. So the materials you're going to need, and you guys are going to get copies of all of this. RE/MAX put out last month a buyer guide that I thought was really good. I think it really shows very nicely, and it's got kind of this clean, modern look to it. And so I wanted to show you that. It's customizable. It's actually in a PowerPoint file itself. So you can go into PowerPoint and customize it yourself. And let me figure out how I'm going to, hang on 1 second. Okay, I'm gonna flip to this. Okay, this is the RE/MAX buyer guide that I just downloaded from the RE/MAX website, but you guys will get it. So you can go in and you can put in your office information. Oh, it didn't switch over. Hang on a second. Hang on 1 second. Ah. There we go. It's not showing it. Okay. So let me take you through. Okay, there's the RE/MAX buyer guide. So this is what it looks like. This is just a general guide, has a good clean look and feel to it. You can go in and customize any part of this. You can take out pages, you can add pages to it, put your branding on it, etc. Okay? So it is about 16 pages long. Okay? This can be something that you email to them, you can print a few out, etc. But this is a free option. You have it, you can customize it, and be ready to go. Okay. There's also Real Marketing. I sent them our RE/MAX book, and they put together a link where we can actually send our clients a link, and it acts as a flip book, and it allows them to kind of flip through that presentation or that buyer guide. So let me go to that real quick. Sorry, this is a little kludgy, but so this would be what it looks like if you were to email it to your clients. And they can just flip through it and kind of read it through it as a book. Okay? So we'll send this link out to you guys so you already have it. Now this is not customized, this is just the general RE/MAX book, but it does allow you to at least email it over to somebody and have it look like a book. Okay? Now your second option would be to really have more of a customized book that you can send. And a customized book might look something like, this is just a sample, something with your picture on it, something with your information that's branded to you, okay? So you can do that with the RE/MAX book, add your picture, add your bio, etc. Or you could have, if you guys if you don't want to spend the time doing this, Real Marketing has an option for you guys to where they'll do the graphic design for you, whether it's the RE/MAX book or one of their books. But I'm going to let Alvin come up and talk a little bit about what their services are and show you some samples of some things that that they've created and kind of what the costs are.
Yeah, thanks, Karen.
Yeah.
That's perfect timing, actually. One of the things that came to mind that actually popped in my head when she was talking was with that issue ebook that she showed you, the flip book. The thing that's really cool about that is you can actually put custom links in that issue ebook, so then that way when you send it to the client, they can click on that link. And one of the things that came to my mind was that obviously, like putting a video link in there, like to your current videos, you know, the home buyer can click on that link. You can also have a link for your buyer's reviews, right? Like maybe a reviews page that you have with buyer's reviews. And then also a link to closed transactions where you represented the buyer, right? Because right now in seller presentations, we always show, you know, here's the homes that we sold, but now you can show those potential buyers. Here's some, you know, buyers that I represented, and here's the homes that we closed on. So that was great. That was great information. So with the flip book that Karen showed you, for you guys right now, if Karen can email you that link, and you guys could totally use that link right now. It's just a basic Remax buyer's guide presentation. But if you want to customize it, we can take all of those pages and we can customize them with your look and feel, the branding that you guys want on it. And then that way, you know, you can send out your custom ebook to your potential buyers. And the other thing that's really cool about that is, you know, Karen mentioned that you should have both. And I totally agree with that, because you should have a digital one that you send out first that maybe has all the links and important information in it. And then we would create something like this. This one says buying your home. So this is a custom buyer's guide right here. And I have quite a few up here. If you guys want to come and take one with you, please do, because the less things I have to take home with me, the better. You can print these, or we can customize these and print these out for you as well. And the way that it works with the custom ebook, it's just a one-time design fee. It's $295 for that book, okay? And once you guys create that book in a digital format, the really cool thing about that as well is, let's say next year you want to add a page or change some pages on it, you can totally do that. It's like a $79 design fee change. So you can change that book, and then our designer can upload that information and send you the link. And as far as these books go, the buyer's guides, these are $49.95 a book, all right? The minimum order on these is 6, but here's the really cool thing. I know that we're talking about buyer representation, but the really cool thing is that if you guys wanted to, you could also order, like you could order 3 pre-listing books or seller's guides, and then you could order 3 buyer's guides, so that would be your total of 6, right? So then you have a combination of buyer's guides and seller's guides, okay? Do you guys have any questions on the books at all? The digital ebooks or the hard copy books? No?
What's the turnaround time?
Yeah, so the turnaround, that's a great question. So the turnaround time on these typically is about 2 weeks, all right? And it really depends, guys, on your response to your designer, because this does go into our custom design department, so you will work with the custom designer. So any assets, any language, anything that you want to add to the book, the quicker you get that information to the designer, they update proofs, they send them to you and you approve them, the quicker we can get these printed for you and then mailed out to you, okay? Any other questions on that? No? Let's see, there was something else I did write a note about here. Let me take a look here. Okay, so again, the digital ebook is $295. And then the books are $49.95 a book. It's a minimum of 6 orders. And again, you guys could get 3 buyer's guides if you wanted to, 3 seller's guides. And then we do have I like to be totally transparent with everything. So we do have a design fee, and we typically charge $129 an hour. And we typically charge for 4 hours up front. And then what happens is if we don't use all 4 hours, we credit your marketing account. But for you guys, I got approval to do $79 an hour, and we would just charge you for 1 hour up front, okay, on that. And then of course, if it went into additional hours, we would have to bill you those additional hours on the design time. All right, so let me show you, so the buyer's guide, and then, you don't mind if I talk about this really quick, do you? Okay, cool. So you guys got one of these on your desk. I'm just gonna switch it a little bit, but this is Leo's farming piece. This is the piece that Leo mails out to his farm every month. So this is another service that we offer. Actually, this is what our company was founded on, is our farming piece. So this piece right here, we create for you. This gets mailed into a farm every single month to brand you as the dominant agent in the neighborhood. So again, this is another service that we can offer to you guys if you guys are interested in farming. So again, that would go along with the seller's guides. And then these folders right here that I have on my desk, please come and grab one as well. This is a pre-listing packet. So this has examples of property brochures, postcards. So this is something that you would take with you on a listing appointment to show the seller all the different things that you would do to market their home. And probably even more important than that, whether it's a buyer or a seller, this is a great piece to have. This is a trifold personal brochure, all right? So this personal brochure is something that you could take with you to open houses, right? I know a lot of agents that use these personal brochures when they get a lead from a seller, they actually will mail this to their home, right? Or they'll drop it off at their door. So this is just another little additional piece that you guys can have. You guys have a pen on you, right? All right, so write this down. alvin.myremplan.com. That's gonna take you to my landing page within Real Marketing. If there's anything that you guys are interested in, please just fill out that form, and then right below it, it says who referred you, put Leo in there. All right, because I've been working with Leo a long time, so put Leo in there. And then there's a section where notes of the products and services you're interested in. And once you hit submit, it's really cool. It actually will transfer over to my calendar link, and then you guys can schedule a time to talk with me at your convenience. All right, yes, sir.
How much is that mail piece, and do you mail that, or does Leo mail it?
Are you talking about the farming piece?
Yes, farming piece.
That's a great question. This piece is, it could be $1 per piece plus postage. So postage is about 41 cents, so it's about $1.41 per piece, and we do mail it to your farm. We also offer exclusivity to your farm. So like Harborview Heights, Leo has exclusivity to that area. We will not sell it to any other agent. Doesn't matter if they're with a different brokerage or not. One agent gets exclusivity to the farm, all right?
So that's just automatic, and Leo doesn't have to do anything, it just goes out.
Leo doesn't have to do anything. We update the data, we update the Google map, we update charts and graphs, we print it, we mail it to the neighborhood. Yes.
My clients really, really appreciate it. They love the content, and
Yeah.
especially for those homeowners that are absentee owners. They're out of the area, they don't know what's going on in the marketplace. So when they receive this every single month, they're super appreciative of it, so.
Yeah, and this is an automated market report that Leo's doing, and I mean, when you look at this, I mean, it looks custom, right? We do offer a custom market report as well. The custom market report starts at $1.65 per piece plus postage, so it's actually like $2.05 per piece. The only difference, guys, with the custom is it allows you, like if you have a new listing in your neighborhood or a property you sold, it allows you to add that actual property, put any custom content you want on it. But the way to go is to do the automated, because you're saving yourself, you know, like 50 cents per piece. And then when you do take that listing, you should be doing an additional piece anyways, like mailing a just listed postcard. And then when you sell the home, you should be mailing a just sold postcard, right? So this brands you as a neighborhood expert. When you get that listing, you should be mailing a just listed. I would actually mail a 4-page property brochure, forget the postcard. I would mail a 4-page property brochure into the neighborhood, because now you're showing that potential seller how you would market their home if they were to list with you, right? Powerful stuff. So, any more questions on this? I didn't want to get too deep into this because I know it's a buyer's presentation, but if you have questions, yeah. Yes?
Yeah, so all these listings, are these Leos or are these somebody else?
We get all this data directly from the MLS. We have access from the
So we don't
MLS.
have to put down that this was somebody else's
Mm-mm.
listing because it's closed?
No. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
That verbiage is down there.
That's why you see there are 3 homes currently pending, right? It doesn't actually list them, but there's a call to action.
Oh, I see.
I wish those were all mine.
Yeah, right.
But hey, yeah.
Question on that trifold
Yeah.
brochure. What's the price on that?
$1.99 per piece, minimum order of 100.
Alvin, can you talk about the package, right, with the listing book?
This thing?
That along with the listing book that I
Yeah.
have, I think it was like $1,200 or something.
Oh, yeah.
How many you get?
Yeah, so it's $12.95, And what you get is you get 12, I think it's 12 of the pre-listing books. So again, here's the cool thing. If you guys order that package, you can get, it's 12 pre-listing books like Leo's right here. But if you want, you could get 6 of these, and then we could do 6 buyer's guides for you too, right? All for the same price. And then you get, I believe it's 3 sets of these packets right here, which are the different size property brochures and postcards. I'll have some examples up here, so you guys please come and take a look at them afterwards. But this again is what you take with you on the listing appointment. And then part of that fee also includes your design and setup fee for your farm. Okay, so if you're gonna be mailing to a farm, the $12.95 also includes the design and setup fee for a farming area. Minimum number of homes, guys, on a farm is 300. 300, all right? Here's the cool thing though. If you're doing an automated market report, it's a minimum of 100 homes per neighborhood, so that means you'd have to have neighborhood A, neighborhood B, neighborhood C, 3 individual market reports for a total of 300, as long as there's 100 homes in each one of those. Does that make sense? Because I know some farms are small, especially if it's like a super luxury neighborhood. Usually those are small farms. But again, the minimum's 300. Any other questions on this stuff? Yeah.
What about direct door,
Every door direct?
Yeah.
Yes, so we don't use every door direct, we mail sorted bulk. So what we do is we actually go into a software, I polygon the actual neighborhood, it pulls those addresses, and it gives me their names. It gives me their names. So all of the pieces are also personalized. It'll say prepared especially for Alvin and Sherry Newton. Okay, so they're personalized. You can't do that with EDDM. You can only do that, based on how we pull it, sorted bulk. Any other questions? No? Yeah.
So, what if it's a neighborhood that has rentals? Like, are you mailing to the homeowner's address if they're out of state?
That's a great question. So we give you the option to mail to the mailing address or the site address, and most agents always mail to the mailing address. So if an owner lives in Kansas, it's gonna go to them in Kansas, right? So I do have some agents that mail to both, because like I can tell you guys, well, there's 20 renters in here, and they'll be like, you know what, let's just mail it to the renter too, because maybe I can get a buyer lead out of it. So we can mail to both, but most people just mail to the mailing address. Yeah. Any other questions? No? I think that's it. Thanks, guys. Come and see me afterwards.
All right, so since we're talking about customization, I want to talk about some of the custom pages you might consider having in your buyer guide. Your photo and your bio, like we saw earlier. Your team. We talked about, okay, well, I really don't have a team. It's just me. But I want to kind of challenge you to think about that differently. I do think you do have a team. We do have our affiliate partners who are part of our team. And so we want to show our value, and what the value is having strong partners behind us. Because if you've ever had somebody that hasn't really performed for you, or it makes you look bad, right? We want to have strong partners. And so part of showing your value is also showing your team's value, what they bring to your buyers. Now remember, when you're sitting having this buyer consultation, what is the buyer thinking? They're thinking, why is what you're telling me important to me, right? You've got to make it about them, and why I partner with, Lena and Roberta with my NHD. Why is that, why is it what you're telling me important to me? So always bring back your conversation and tell them the benefit to you is X, Y, and Z, okay? So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Talk about the unique things you do for your buyers. So include that in your guide. Reviews and testimonials. I would say instead of having, a lot of times we have like one page that has a ton of reviews and testimonials. Instead, sprinkle those reviews and testimonials throughout the buyer guide, because as they're going through it, they're seeing those reviews as they're kind of reading through it, as opposed to just having it on one sheet of paper. it tends to make it a little bit more impactful. Your bio, so your team, you know, something like I have a team of experts that will be engaged along the way. You could have something that looks like this, meet my team. It can be very, you know, it can be brief, and then you can talk them through why it's a benefit to them. That's not Sandy, and that's not your TC. Sandy wouldn't send me a picture. So, but they bring years of experience so that we can anticipate challenges ahead of time and get them solved quickly so that you experience a smooth transaction, something like that, right? Who else is part of your team? All of our affiliate partners that support our company, Lena and Roberta, with MyNHD, Heidi and Kevin with First American Home Warranty. And again, explaining the value your team members bring to your buyers is really the one or two little tidbits that you need to sprinkle in is why it's important to them. So to make this easier for you, I had all of them this week send me what they think is their quick snapshot of what brings our buyer clients, what their services bring to our buyer clients. And so with MyNHD, Lena's here to give her one liner as to what the benefits are. And I want to give them an opportunity to just talk for a second.
Oh, okay.
And I think this is a really good little graphic.
Yeah. So what's important to a buyer when you're speaking to a buyer about a National Hazard Disclosure Report is letting them know that who you work with has been vetted by CAR. We carry $10 million in E&O insurance to protect all parties of the transaction, and including them. And they've never been party to a lawsuit. So these are, good, strong points without, deeping dive into where we get our information, but just something quick that you've had that's going to impress your buyer and say, oh yeah, this is the company I want to work with. Because, and then, there's a little bit, and then when you leave them with this, they can actually read that and then feel more comfortable about the product you selected, because you have to make that good faith effort for your client to select the best product, the best service, and the best protection for them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So yeah, so having this might be in your buyer guide that you send. It can just be short and sweet, but at least it gives them a sense that you've got a team of people. It's not just you, but it's a team of people. First American Home Warranty, you guys want to come up? Heidi and Kevin. They gave me some really good talking points also, and you guys will get this. But if you want to just talk through them really quickly.
Yeah, so Kevin Wolf, First American Home Warranty, this is Heidi Marshall. Since my dad started the company back in '84, we've been about service, value, and integrity, and that's what we stand true to today. Obviously, those are some of the key points when you're talking to a buyer. One thing I'm excited that we're bringing back is the introduction phone call, and I'm gonna let Heidi talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're kind of piloting it down here in Orange County. So Kevin and I have an assistant who's actually calling all the buyers that close escrow from our clients and explaining how a home warranty works, how it's beneficial for them. They'll help them set up their portals and helping them place their rekey claims. The really key portion of this though is that we need to get their phone numbers. California has about a 25% retention rate of getting phone numbers. So when we are placing those orders, make sure that either myself or Kevin are placing it. We can grab those phone numbers. The only person that's gonna be calling them is gonna be Allie, and she's amazing. Last month, between the two of us, Allie did 600 phone calls to our buyers, and we've been getting a really good response from that. So it's based on where you guys are at, so wherever your buyers are gonna be, they're gonna be calling. But it's nice to bring it back now.
Yep.
It's a little bit of a personal touch for us.
Yeah, when we were a small California company years ago, it was easy to make those phone calls. Now that we're getting, larger nationwide, that kind of, it's not, but we just felt like we needed to go back to our roots. So I'm excited that we are doing that for our clients and your clients.
Fantastic, thank you. And if we think about our clients' experience, how great would it be to close escrow and then get a phone call and say, here's how this works? I mean, because a lot of times people are out in the dark as to actually how it works. So I love that idea. So thank you. Yes.
Can you jog my memory? Now with this, use First American Home Warranty and use the crest with it. Use the you can use this on a listing presentation. There's a $75,000 coverage for the seller if anything happens during the listing period for 1 year actually. If you crack, slab, anything, they cover anything, and are deductible. And then on NHD, there's another $15,000. They can stack it, so it's $90,000 total. Is that right? Nate, verify that?
Yeah.
25,000 for the NHD.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how much is the First American?
Yeah,
And
Chris is 50 with us.
50,000.
With the seller's E&O, and then it reduces your company's E&O deductible in case of any type of lawsuit.
What does it reduce it to?
You're gonna have to talk to whoever deals with your crest, because it can be different. I've heard it can go down to 5,000, 2,500. So it just kind of depends on what your company, what agreement you guys have with Crest on that.
Okay.
But the biggest thing is for your sellers, making sure that you're countering it in. Because if you're not countering it in, they're not gonna get that 50,000 in sellers, and the 25 from NHD.
And that's for 1 year for the seller.
6 months for the seller.
Oh, I see.
But they can choose to get an additional 6 months for, I think it's $200 or something. And, we have those certificates, so if you want it in a PDF form, Lena and I can both send it. We also have the hard copies that we can give to your sellers when you guys are closing escrow. It has the information on there, it has where they can register, the website, all that great stuff, and it explains to them.
Well, that would be great to use as a listing tool. Right up front, you get a listing and say, my company offers this, the other companies don't. And that's a big stick to carry. You give someone $75,000 of free E&O insurance to sell it.
Definitely.
So if you guys send that to me,
Okay.
then I'll put it into the shared drive that we're gonna share with you guys. Yeah, thank you, thank you. All right, we also have part of your team is your lenders, right? And your lenders and what value they bring to your buyers. So I got these from Mark and Matt and from John Soricelli. So some great talking points as to the value that they bring to your buyer clients. Do you guys want to expand on any of that, or you're good? Okay. Yeah. All right. Tommy's not here, but whoever you're using for title, make sure that you put that in and explain why that's a benefit to your clients. Also, we talked about talking through with your buyer clients on the current market conditions. Really shows your value. Also, you have to give them something they can't Google, right? So ask them, what is your opinion about the current market? Find out how much do they know. A lot of times people are hearing national news that really doesn't drill down to exactly what's going on in our local market, right? So find out where their heads are at with that. And tie that back to what the current market means to them. Always keeping it positive and so forth. So make it about them, address what they're thinking. Remember, they're thinking, why does what you're telling me matter to me? And how does it benefit me? All right. Some scripts and objection handlers. I do have a packet that I'll be sending out to everyone. I want to see if I can flip over to that really quickly. Show that to you. So it's going to be buyer scripts, for example, the buyer-broker agreement, how to approach that. Scripts on talking through compensation, how they'll be compensated, or how you'll be compensated, sorry. What to say if they say, I don't want to work with an agent, I don't want to sign an agreement, right? How to combat some of that. Or a buyer that says, I only want to pay you X amount. And then there's also some seller scripts in here for sellers who say they may not want to offer any compensation. So there's some good scripts that you guys will get as well. So let me switch back here. So just to kind of wrap things up, remember that these changes are really opportunities to improve the professionalism in our industry. I think that, I mean, that's the way we should look at it. Yes, we're gonna have to change a little bit about what we do and how we do it, but having that process ironed out before August 17th, I think is really important. Get your buyer guides and get your consultation down. We'll have some more workshops on other things to kind of practice some of those scripts and practice your buyer consultation. So that is to come, but think about how you want to customize your buyer book. We gave you a couple different options, a free RE/MAX option, or an option to go with something that's more customized. Any questions from anybody? Yes.
Do these apply to residential, income, and commercial over 4 units?
I believe, and not commercial, 1 to 4 units, yeah.
What is the answer?
1 to 4.
It's 1 to 4.
Yeah, yeah.
Commercial is already been doing this.
Yes, that's what I
That's how they
understand,
operate.
yeah.
They operate that you negotiate.
Yes.
If you're holding open house and someone comes in and says, I don't have an agent, I want you to write the offer for me, how long of a term, I mean, is it a 1 week, is it a 1 day? I don't understand.
Yeah, yeah.
How that's gonna work, cause they're probably, and can they do that with another agent on another property at the same time?
Well, there's gonna be on the form, there's going to be the, just like on a listing agreement, you can have an exclusive agreement, an open listing, right?
It can be specific to one property also.
It can be specific to
To a
one
property.
property,
Okay.
and you can put like a short time frame. Because I was even thinking about, well, what if you find somebody at an open house and you have another property to show them, right? You know, after you close up, you're gonna have to have just maybe a small window where you're not gonna do the full buyer consultation in that moment, but maybe circle back to it. Yeah, so putting in a shorter time frame. Yeah.
In recent years, a lot of buyers will find a property themselves on the, either on the Zillow or on Realtor.com, and they'll call you and say, Mike, I want to see that property. Can you meet me there? So you're meeting it right there. There's no consultation, and you're going to have something like that because, and maybe they're only going to want to sign for that one property or for that day or whatever.
Right.
You know, because maybe you have some other switches that you have for them. But the thing is, you're going to have something for that intermittent period of time.
Right,
Because they
and it
may
may
not
be
wanna-
the same form, just a shorter time frame.
They're gonna wanna sign it for a
Yeah.
year probably,
Yeah.
just meeting them at the property for the first time, and there's no time for a consultation.
Right, right. Yep, 100%. Yeah. Any other questions? So we will have more information as we get it. We'll have a lot more information at our next meeting in 2 months. So stay tuned for that. We will put out information about other trainings and information, workshops and so forth to help you guys get geared up. So thank you for being here. Alvin's got a bunch of different samples and things like that if you guys want to talk to him. Otherwise, go have a great day. All right, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Gabby's gonna pass out.
Hold on 1 second. For you guys to get all the files that we talked about, gosh, sorry about that. Gabby has created, we've got a QR code. Hang on, guys. We have a QR code on this flyer. Just scan the QR code and it is going to get you to the shared Google Drive.